Chapter 30 Hard Times. Jerry had sold me to a man who was a corn dealer and baker, with the intention that I should get sufficient food and reasonable work. I was well fed as Jerry had thought, but a foreman overloaded and overworked every horse my master owned. My carter often told my foreman that we ought not to be overloaded, but to worsen my condition, he always had the check rein raised, and within 4 months my strength had diminished. I would like to narrate this experience to express my gratitude towards a thoughtfully benevolent lady I once met. I was once going on a road that was partly a steep uphill. I had been overloaded by the foreman and could not get on without stopping every now and then. My driver Jakes was displeased by my behavior and he whipped me whenever I stopped. I struggled ahead as the whip hurt my body and my mind, for I was doing the best I could. When he had flogged me for the 3rd time on the upslope, a kind lady with a sweet voice intervened. "Oh, please don't flog the fine horse in that manner. I can see that he is doing the best he can," said she. Then she reasoned with my carter in such a refined way that all his resistance melted away. She told him that the check reins were making it all the more difficult for me to accomplish the already arduous task. Her manner and tone were so respectful and gentle that Jakes couldn't help being persuaded to loosen the check reins. Then the gentle lady stroked me several times. I felt relieved and soon crossed the upslope. The lady said I was a hard-working animal and I told Jakes to keep the check rein loose all the time. Jakes agreed that the loosening the check rein had helped on the upslope, but said that if he kept it loosened regularly, the carters would laugh at him, as it was a fashion. The placid lady then said a very true thing. "Isn't it wiser," said she, "to pilot a right fashion rather than follow a wrong one?" Jakes had no answer, but he respected the lady who had respectfully shown him the right path. So the days rolled on. I would have got partially blind had I stayed in that place for a longer time. This was because the stables were badly lit, and this weakened my eyesight. It is said that a stone-blind horse is better than a horse who is partially blind. I was fortunate in that respect and was soon sold to a large cab owner. This saved my eyesight. My eyesight was saved, but I had fallen from the frying pan into the fire. My new master, Nicholas Skinner, was more or less a monster in the form of a human being. Siddy Sam, the cab driver, worked for Skinner. I suppose my master and my driver never thought of horses as living beings. It was under their reign that I realized the agony of life of a cab horse. We were overworked and overloaded for all the 7 days in the week. We were too tired to eat at the end of the day. How I longed for the bran mash Jerry fed me on hot days, and for the restful Sundays that transferred me into a young horse once again. How I wished all cab owners had been half as sensitive as Jerry. But I was tortured and whipped until I bled, until I thought I would rather die like Ginger. And one day I almost died. We had dropped some passengers at the railway station that morning, and we were at the cab stand near the railway station at 8 a.m. I had already done a fair share of work since morning, but as a long train arrived, our cab was engaged by a family. There were 4 passengers, a boisterous man, his wife and their 2 children, a girl and a boy. The lady and the boy sat in the cab, but the little girl came up to me and spoke in the most sensitive voice. "Daddy, the poor horse looks so weak and worked up. I'm sure he will not be able to carry as well as our luggage. Do hire 2 cabs, Daddy." I wonder how the father of so thoughtful a child could be, so headstrong and stone-hearted. Do you think your horse can do it? Should I engage another cab? He asked point blankly. Well, of course, my driver said I could carry it. The luggage was extremely heavy, and the poor child kept saying it was cruel to make a single horse carry the load fit for two horses. But hold your tongue, Grace, was all the response her thoughtless father could generate. The load was heavy, and I was starving and tired. Yet I did my best as usual. I trudged along till we had reached a toll gate where the upslope, my extreme exhaustion, the hurting whip, and the heavy load were together too much for me to bear. It's hard to explain how, but my feet slipped and I crashed on the ground. I lay motionless as I could not move. Among the angry confusion that I could hear around me came one caring voice that said, "Oh, I was telling you that the load was too much for that poor horse. It's entirely our fault." I could hardly gasp for breathing and was sure I would die. Surprisingly, I did not die. When I regained my consciousness, I was being patted by a kind man who was encouraging me to get up to my feet. I staggered but soon stood up and drank the warm gruel that was brought to me. I had recovered by evening and taken back to the Skinner stables. Next morning a doctor came to see me. He told Skinner that my condition was bad due to overwork rather than the disease. He was sure that if I were given 6 months' rest, I would be able to work again. Of course, Skinner had no such plan in mind. I was now of use to him, and so he would either shoot me or sell me. The doctor was a sensitive man and convinced Skinner to rest me and fed me for 10 days, after which he thought he could sell me at a sale that was coming soon. He convinced Skinner that selling me at the sale would be more profitable than selling my skin after shooting me. Skinner reluctantly agreed to feed me, tempted by the prospect of my fetching some money. So I was fed with bran mashes with boiled linseed mixed with them and oats and hay. Soon I was feeling better. On the 12th day I was taken to the cell that was a few miles from London. I was relieved that I was leaving Skinner and his cab service, so at the sale I held my head high and made myself hopeful.